And it worked. Right on. Love it when it works, Sophie.
Here for it.
Hello, everyone. This is SANDCAST, Beach Volleyball with Bourne and Travis Mewhirter. And I have the pleasure of having two champs right here. We have Bourne, the Manhattan Beach Open champ, back-to-back jacks for my boy Tri.
Snaps.
And we have the World Championship silver medalist, Sophie Bukovec, badass Canadian.
Crazy. Thank you.
How are you, Soph?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Thanks for coming on.
To be here. Thank you.
It's overdue. I loved getting to hang out with you in Brazil last year.
Yeah, that was so fun.
And then I've gotten to see you like all over the place this year. It's been great.
It's been so good. It's nice having friends on tour, so especially those that can speak Portuguese when I can't. You can order acai perfectly, so yeah.
Almost get hit by a car.
That happened. Oh my gosh. My heart like sank into my butt. I was so nervous when that happened. Holy smokes.
You almost get hit by a car?
Yeah,
like
we're
inches.
Like about to cross the street in Brazil, and I wasn't really paying attention, and it was a walk street, so the car like should have stopped, but this truck comes barreling around, turns right, and did brush me as
it was
went.
wild.
Probably going like 20.
I think it's sped up. I genuinely think it's sped up. Like there was 5 of us. Me and Tim were behind you, and we were just like, "Oh my gosh, that guy's life."
And Sophie was like, "Did anyone else see that?
Like, what just happened?
almost died.
You literally almost died."
Jeez.
Yeah,
but we made it. So now we all have
here.
something to celebrate today.
Yes.
And we got champagne for the occasion.
Woo.
And I'm going to let you do the
Gotta
honors.
taste so that I ruin my own house.
It's your place,
You
so.
ruin your own house. But you're the one who won, so I
I
figured
feel like
you
I
should
should
be
have
the
a
one who
towel
popped
or
it.
something nearby.
I feel like you're a veteran.
You want me to grab one?
Did you shake it?
No, I didn't shake it. I tried to walk steady.
Did you walk here? Was it in your backpack?
I walked. No, I held it. I'll get a towel.
Where's the towel?
I heard the trick is to wrap it in a towel and then turn the bottle instead of turning the cork with the towel. So you hold the cork and you turn the thing.
Okay.
Whether or not that works, I don't know. I've never tried it.
Just have some paper towels on hand. Or else the pod mama's gonna be mad at me. I'll just I'm just gonna wing it, guys.
See what happens.
See what
This
happens.
just seems as more fitting than the Kona brew bath, you know?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Let's see a proper pot.
And
Woo! Nice.
Oh, perfect.
look at that. No mess for the pod mama.
No mess.
Clean
Booyah.
pour.
That's a
Kasha,
championship
as they
veteran
say.
move.
That is
Being
a
able to
veteran
open up a
move.
bottle of champagne.
Yep.
Been there, done that.
That's the
You
play.
know, Melissa Humana Paredes put up the funniest post about
Yep.
her popping champagne.
Yep.
She's like, I've gotten a little bit better of it over the years, but she had all of her mess ups.
So good.
Oh,
Did you
yeah,
see
it
the
took her
Polish
so
guy?
long first
No.
time, right?
In Hamburg?
Is it Wojciech?
He was struggling so hard to open up his bottle of champagne. I think there's always 1 or 2 people every year
Yeah.
that struggle to do it,
Not a
but
proper pour amount.
looks
So
great.
we just start with because I usually just dump it on my head.
I think my favorite celebration was Paul Lottman and Miles Partain.
Oh, yes.
In
Oh, man,
Atlanta.
the double fister.
Because Miles is 20, he's handing the beer, and he was like, no,
Yeah.
I
He's
can't
like,
be
"Can't
caught
do
with
it."
this.
Bad
He
optics,
just
bad
hands it
optics. The AVP's don't even hand it to him.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Congratulations.
Heck yeah, congrats.
Congratulations.
Soph, congrats to you.
Lovely.
The
Thank
champagne
you.
for you is long overdue. And it's not even just the World Championship silver medal, but you guys, you continued it. You got a 5th in Stade.
Thank
another
you.
5th in Hamburg.
Yeah.
You guys are playing awesome.
Yeah, it's been a really crazy year. It's crazy to think that it's only been a year and we've had such success. The goal of this year was just to qualify for the World Championships and then make it into the Elite 16 when we first laid out what the plan was for the year. But now that we're actually not able to even play in the challenge because we're in the top 6 is so wild.
I didn't even
So
realize
wild.
that.
That's
Man.
epic.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's sick. And to think
Yeah.
in Tlaxcala, you guys were pretty deep in the qualifier, didn't make it out, and
Yeah.
now here you are 5 months later. Only
know.
5 months later.
I
You're not
know.
even allowed to play in those events.
It's so wild. There's been 3 injuries on my part throughout the season. That's been super hard to kind of manage. I was concussed in Mexico in Tlaxcala, and then I got concussed before our quarterfinal in Stade.
Wait, what?
And then I sprained my thumb really badly in our quarter in Hamburg, so I had to swing with my left hand. So there's been a lot of kind of adversities just on the court there, so it feels extra good to be in the position that we are. It feels kind of justified, and yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
How do you get concussions?
My coaches.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got packed in Brazil in our preseason pretty heavily, and Tlaxcala, Mexico was a really big event for us because I had 0 points really going into the season for us to qualify for Worlds. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely had to play in it, concussed or not, which I don't recommend people doing.
Right.
But, you have to do it sometimes.
So it was just in training and your coach just unloaded on ball.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know. Sometimes I want my coach, I'm like, when I'm digging, don't just hit it low.
Yeah.
Or don't tell me when we're hitting high. I need to be able to react.
Yes.
But if your hands are down and they're too close, they will drill you in the face.
I was like, I'm new to defense. I'm still learning to get my hands up.
Me too.
So, guys,
Me too.
Give me a break. But clearly this will teach me to just always start with my hands up so that I don't experience a third one.
Hand digs all
anytime
around.
soon, yeah.
Step back.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
There must be something about Barbara and Carol, too, because both of your injuries in Stade and Hamburg were against them, right?
The one in Hamburg was, which... if I'm going to get injured to anybody, I want it to be Barbara and Cuddle just because they're such good friends of ours. And they were my ex-coach's wife is Barbara.
Oh,
so
really?
we have a really good relationship. She's very supportive of our team. So it didn't feel as bad as if it was, a hard rival.
Yeah.
In Stade, it was actually before we played the Aussies.
Oh, it was the Aussies.
Yeah, before
okay.
Marife and Talikwa. And that one was pretty upsetting because we were playing so well in that event. We felt like we really could just, go all the way, make it to the finals, win our first gold medal. And then to have it happen in warm-up, that was pretty tough. But yeah, the first set was fine. I didn't really experience too many symptoms. And then the second set, I looked at Brandie and I was like, I'm going to throw up. Like, where can I do this? I can't go behind the ref stand. I can't go out towards the spectators. And I remember the camera that was on us, cut as soon as I brought a trash bag out. Luckily, I didn't throw up, but it felt like I did the entire second set.
So you could just pull a Julia Skulls and just right in front of you, come back out and just start hitting dingers, too.
Oh, my gosh.
Beast.
So wild.
I couldn't believe she did that.
So wild. When did she do that?
Fort Lauderdale.
She was throwing it from heat exhaustion.
Oh, my God. Well, I saw the medical timeout, but I wasn't sure what caused it.
In the finals, yeah.
Oh, wow.
At the technical timeout of the second set of the finals, the camera did not cut.
Oh,
it just stayed there. She comes out and just bombs away. I was like, that is a really tough individual.
Wow. Dang, that's a champion there.
Yeah.
Well deserved. Kudos to you, Julia.
Yeah.
And fight on.
yeah, exactly.
But you have a history of sports, especially your family too. Your family's so athletic. So
yeah.
I'm sure that you've probably learned to deal with a couple injuries here and there growing up.
Yeah, for sure. All my siblings are athletes, which is pretty cool, but also creates chaos in the house because everything is a competition. So I've learned how to when and when not to make things competitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, my twin sister is the soccer goalie for Croatia, so she plays for the national team there.
Whoa.
My brother played basketball, won a national championship in Canada, and then my older sister is the head soccer coach at one of the universities in Canada. So all very, very high performance and excelled in all of their sports. So yeah, the injury thing is just kind of you just move on. It is what it is. If it hurts, it's fine. As long as it's not going to make you more injured, just push through. You'll be fine. So that's our motto, at least.
Yeah. Were your parents athletes?
Yeah, they were. My dad was pretty into basketball and tennis. And then my mom, I want to say played a little bit of volleyball, but was more into track and a little bit other sports that I didn't get into. So
yeah. Well, how did you fall into volleyball then? Both of your sisters are, your sister's soccer.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably played soccer as well.
I did. So that was my first love. That was my first sport growing up.
Yeah.
Played right in front of my sister. She's a goalkeeper. So I was a center defender. It was hilarious.
Stressful.
Very stressful and so funny. There'd be times where she couldn't tie her shoe or she couldn't do her hair. So she'd be like, Soph, can you tie my hair? Because she has her gloves on, so she can't. So it was really convenient for her. But played soccer until I think I was roughly 16.
Okay.
And then at the time, my older sister was dabbling in volleyball a little bit. And she was like, you're so lanky. You look ridiculous running up and down the soccer field. Please get into a tall sport. And so I went to my first indoor tryout and made the team, even though I sucked. And then just kind of fell in love with volleyball from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old was that? Were you a late bloomer in volleyball?
Yeah, I think that was roughly 16 is when I really started took it serious. I dabbled a little bit 14U and then stopped and played soccer.
Yeah.
Played for our provincial team, so it was a really hard decision to pick between soccer and volleyball. And then picked up beach in the summers, kind of contrasting the indoor season.
Okay. I love talking to the Canadian guys about how they get into beach because, you talk to Jake or Pedlo or Shakhtar and they're just like, well, if you couldn't cut it in hockey, you played volleyball.
That's literally it.
You had to do something else. Yeah.
Most of the athletes who don't play hockey, it's because they didn't make it in hockey. It's such a cutthroat sport, though. There's so many people for just such little positions. I guess that's with a lot of sports, but predominantly hockey in Canada is like that.
Yeah. And I mean, in beach in Canada, it's like getting bigger. I feel like when you started, it probably wasn't all that big because that was before that, Mel and Pav and Heather and like they started getting the sport a little bit bigger. So like, how much have you seen it grow in Canada since you started picking it up?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Like I think myself and Will Hoey, we were the first ever, myself and Grant O'Gorman, the first ever full-time beach athletes.
Really?
And this was not that long ago. I think I started when I was 16. That would have been that summer. So since then, it's just like had exponential growth. And then, you have people like Josh Binstock and Sam Schachter and Sam Pedlow and Grant and then on the women's side, Mel, Sarah, Heather, Brandie, that kind of paved the way and just become legends in the sport. And so people see that you're able to do it as a Canadian athlete. So it's grown through that. People think it's a feasible option and a feasible job. So there's more interest. Yeah. Every year I see it grow, which is amazing.
Yeah, I've seen it grow. I mean, when I first was on tour, it was like just those people you named. And they were like the first ones. And none of them were at the top yet.
Yeah.
It was like Norseca's and maybe grinding at the back. I know, remind me, didn't a Canadian team play in a medal round or get a medal in
96?
Oh,
that
John
was
and Mark.
96?
Yeah. John and Mark.
Heath and John Child.
Heath,
yeah.
Yeah. So there's some history there. But
Absolutely.
yeah, it seemed like it just took off all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like
and their joke is that they were the first Olympic medalists ever because bronze gets the first medal. They're the first on the podium.
Oh my gosh,
So
they
that's
would
their
say
claim to
that.
fame.
There you go.
Like, leave it to Marquise and John Child to say that. Love you guys, by the way. I coached with Mark indoor, actually, for a year. I was his assistant coach, so learned lots from him, but that's a very them thing to say. But it is true. It is true. Hey, milk it. I love it.
I was so impressed, though,
96.
in Vancouver because I'd never been to Canada before.
Oh,
First
wow.
time.
Vancouver's a good spot for you to
And
go.
the Van Open I've been just keeping a running list of my top 10 favorite tournaments I've ever played or atmospheres I've played in.
Nice.
And Vancouver is high up there.
That's awesome.
It was
Considering the
amazing.
weather, I'm happy you said
Everyone
that.
kept apologizing for the
Yeah.
weather. I'm like, guys, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved it.
No, the crowd is so incredible there. Like, we don't have any other domestic tour events, really.
Yeah.
So the Van Open is definitely a staple in everyone's calendar every year. But just the way the crowd gets involved, the way that you're booed if you don't skyball on game point, like,
Yeah.
people are very invested.
Very.
And they have such a good time. They treat their athletes so well. So I'm hoping that it gets bigger. I'm hoping that more international players come and want to compete in it. I think before COVID, we had some European teams come down because it was just before the Edmonton FIVB.
Okay.
So they use it as like a prep tournament.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of showcasing it and having it be a little bit more on the radar on other countries would be really sweet. Just because we're looking for good quality volleyball in Canada, because that's what's going to grow the sport there.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was quality. I was looking at some of these teams because I figured if I hadn't seen their names, either in Norseca, I was like, all right, well, they're probably not that good. And I was like, these indoor guys are bombing balls.
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, really? The indoor guys were playing? Had some beach game?
Yeah. And
That's usually what the guys do is they like play indoor, like of course during their indoor season, and then like strictly stick to beach in the winter or in the summer, which is pretty nice. So there's always hope that one of these guys is going to come and train full-time beach and just give up indoor.
Yeah.
Will that happen? Probably not, but we can hope, we can dream.
Yeah. And how is me and Trevor were thinking about going to the Van Open because we've
Nice.
heard so much good things about it.
Yeah.
But how is the fan base as a whole? Obviously, at that event, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But as a whole, are there numbers in terms of the fan base and the following?
I mean, not as much as it is here in the U.S., but I think in like volleyball hubs, so in Toronto, for example, there's so many locals that play. There's so many youth kids. There's a lot of interest in volleyball, so that you just get those fans out.
Yeah.
But in Vancouver specifically, Kits Beach is, kind of a staple, legendary area for volleyball.
Right.
Just like the challenge courts that are there, you put your shoe in, and that's how you kind of organize the lineup of who can challenge who. That's the area for beach volleyball, kind of like Manhattan Beach version here.
Yeah.
So those people are really interested in volleyball. But throughout Canada, I wouldn't say that there's like a ton of following, but I think that's also too because there's not very many people who know about it because the media coverage is pretty poor. So
Right.
once that kind of, picks up, I hope that there'll be more interest and more following.
Yeah. Because you guys have such like mega superstars in the sport.
Yeah.
It's just you gotta build it from somewhere.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like it's just so new in Canada, but the college game has been amazing for you guys as well, right? Like how many players have come through that system at this point?
Yeah, for sure.
You have Were
you the first?
How many?
Were you the first Canadian to play NCAA beach?
Yes, kind of. There was one girl, Lauren D'Amato, who I used to play with growing up. She did maybe a semester, if that, I think at FIU or FAU.
Okay.
And then she transferred back home, and then I kind of was the first full-time beach person that went from Canada to the U.S.
That's pretty awesome. Because now I look at the college rosters, I'm like, well, there's Molly McBain, there's Leah Monkhouse, there's just Alex Paletto, like so many Canadians. I'm like, this is, the NCAA beach system is like this international pipeline of talent. I mean, the McNamara's.
Right?
You know?
McNamara's.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really awesome for the youth to be able to have something that's not indoor. Yeah. Because then it helps them specialize a little bit earlier if they want to. If they are just beach-only people, they don't have to play indoor if they don't want to. And kind of not waste time, but again, they have the ability to specialize and get so much better. So, and then scholarships are a huge thing. Yeah. Being able to have your education covered is amazing. So, yeah, it's opened up a lot of doors for a lot of youth Canadian volleyball players on the women's side particularly. Yeah.
And I think that you were a part of like maybe the most iconic recruiting class in beach volleyball history. I mean, it was you, Sara Hughes, Kelly Chang, and Claes, Nicolette Martin, Allie Wheeler, like Terese Cannon was in that class. Yeah. It's an epic class.
Yeah, it was wild. I'll tell you that practice was gnarly. Like, practice was no joke.
With Anna Collier.
Holy smokes, guys. Like,
it's gnarly if just Anna.
Yeah. Now imagine like 5 little Annas and then big Anna. Right. And that's just what practice was like. Dane was like, it's too much estrogen. Like, I need to leave.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But he was so good about it. He was amazing. A perfect amount of like contrast between him and Anna. So it was really great. But no, the class was incredible. Yeah. And I love watching everybody thrive now internationally.
It's amazing.
Which is so cool. Like, we knew we would do it, but the fact that almost everyone is continuing to play and play at such a high level is really cool to see.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask is, like, when you guys were in that class, did you know, like, what a special group that was? Because that's a lot of talent.
Yes and no. I think that, like, we knew that there was so much talent on our team, and that's why we were as successful as we were and knew that we could be as successful as we were. But to kind of start this like amazing dynasty that what USC beach volleyball is has just been so incredible. Like watching Julia Scholes and Megan Kraft internationally and now on the AVP and so many others I didn't name. The Norse twins, sorry if I'm missing anybody, but it's just really
impossible not to miss someone at this point.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, anybody who played at USC Beach, this is for you. But no, just watching them flourish and thrive on the AVPs and internationally, it's cool to be able to connect and like do that little bit of mentorship. Yeah. Even if I'm not an American player, just like I'm still very proud of those athletes.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, you're adopted. Yeah. You're in the family.
Honorary American, right?
You've now been to 3 AVPs this year without playing in one. You're in it, so.
Oh, I like it. I'm here for it.
Me and Delaney were counting the number of USC players in the Manhattan main draw, and on the women's side, it was 11.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's a lot.
Crazy.
I feel like every match is like, you just hear at least 2 USC players in it.
Yeah.
And I think the Final Four in Fort Lauderdale was all USC. Yeah. The finals were for sure. It was Tina and Haley and Julia and Gina. That's 4 USC girls. And then
it's wild.
Kelly Claes was in one semi. It was crazy. I think Sara Hughes was in another. Yeah. So 6 of 8 of the semifinals.
So many.
And they were both in the final yesterday from Manhattan.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah. How did you end up there? Because at the time I couldn't imagine that, you know, Anna was like, you know what, where we need to go to find talent?
Canada.
Right, exactly.
They can only play beach like 3 months of the year. There's definitely a star there somewhere. Yeah. Definitely not her thing. So I played indoor in Canada for a year. Okay. So I'll backtrack. I played beach full time, didn't play indoor during my club youth years in my 18U year. Strictly was beach only. And then it was just myself and Grant for an entire winter. Just us two in like
Granto getting after
a pretty dingy facility. It was pretty dark. I was like, I need people. I need competition. Like, I just need that camaraderie, that teamship. So I reached out to a coach at a university in Canada at McMaster, and I was like, I'll come to open tryouts, like whatever you need from me. Like, I just want to come to this school. He had a scholarship for me there, so I played a year of indoor in Canada. And then there was still something kind of missing. I needed a little bit more of that like competition, that grittiness that just comes with playing in the NCAA. Mm-hmm. Again, it's a staple for what it is because of that. And so I reached out to Brian Gimolero at Long Beach State, where I was going to play both beach and indoor, get the best of both worlds, instead of having to choose, which was really difficult. So I just played indoor there for a semester and then transferred because of some issues that I had with him as a coach. But funny enough, I knew Alexa Strange and Sara Hughes from the Youth World Championships in the summer when I competed for Canada. So when I was looking at transferring programs, I reached out to them and said, hey, how's USC? Do you think it would be a good fit for me? How's the team? How's the coaching? And they really vouched for the program. And I actually ran into Anna at the Manhattan AVP and had a very brief conversation with her. And she was like, yeah, we have a scholarship for you. We have money for you. Like, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And this was right before Christmas break. So I just was like in and out of all these different places and then finally ended up at the most amazing school ever. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
How was it going to USC and seeing the facilities and all that for the first time?
There's nothing like it. Like, especially coming from a Canadian school, and that's kind of where I started my university careers. There, it's very academic heavy. Like, that's your predominant focus. Whereas here, I find that if you're an athlete, like, that's kind of what you are first, as much as they say that that's not the case.
100%. When you leave, especially at USC.
Yeah, it's like world-class facilities. Like, I walked into the weight room and my jaw dropped.
Yeah,
like,
crazy.
It was insane.
When you got, what year did you get there?
Can you refill so?
Sure, thank you. I was there 2015 to 2017.
Did they have, by Heritage Hall, that was your guys' weight room in the underground?
Yeah, that's where
we
were.
Weight room and the what is it? The
field,
turf
that's
underground.
there, yeah.
That is amazing. It wasn't there when I was there. I left in 2011.
Okay.
And none of that was there.
That actually
is insane. When I walked in there, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. That's what made me fall in love with lifting.
Yeah.
Like, one, the facility, and then our strength coach, Kelly, was amazing. But, like, not loving it before to where I am now, having it be, like, a happy place for me, the SC facility definitely did that for me.
It's amazing.
It's unreal. Like,
that's
so
the problem.
crazy.
It's like, especially in a sport like volleyball. And I was in indoor, so I was at the Galen Center all the time.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. But leaving USC, you're never going to have it as good. No matter how good you are, you could be the best player in the world.
Nope.
Your locker room's never going to be as good. You're never going to be treated quite as good as you are at USC.
No, it's special for sure. But I do feel that even now that I've graduated, like, you know, the USC family, the Trojan family, I'm like, it's a cult. That's what it is. It's secretly a cult.
100%.
It's hilarious. I was on the pier the other day with Nicolette Martin, or Nicolette Arnetz, sorry, who came up to watch the AVP and just saw a guy wearing a USC shirt, fight on. He now joins our table. He brings 5 of his friends. It's like a whole ordeal just by saying fight on as a joke.
Up the V. Yep.
Seriously. So it really is such a big community, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Because again, we don't have that in Canada. It's not the same kind of feel for a school that you would get here in the US.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. I feel like college competition's so unique for the US. Is it big in Canada? You know, because I know like Kame played in college and Brandie and.
Yeah. It's not on the same magnitude as it is here.
Okay.
They definitely take it serious, but like I said before, it's more academic heavy. It's very much like a holistic, how are you as a person type thing. But I do think that indoor men's volleyball is more comparable in Canada than it is here, just because there's not that many men's scholarships in the US. So a lot of those boys choose to stay in Canada, which means the talent pool is going to be better.
Yeah.
And just overall the competition will be better. So yeah, in that respect, like where Kane played, that's like a staple volleyball school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an incredible, legendary volleyball school.
Where was it again?
I think he played at Trinity Western.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like every time I've done a story on a Canadian player, that was the name.
They just like
up.
will take the whole Trinity Western team and make it Team Canada.
Okay.
Right? They might add like 1 or 2 pieces from MAC, from, you know, different schools, Alberta, but it's predominantly Trinity Western based.
I was like, is there only one school?
Yeah, seriously.
What position did Kane play indoor?
I think
you can't like picture what position he would play.
I think he was an outside as well.
Outside?
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure.
I mean, now watching him play, it makes sense that he'd be a right side because he's
not like a banger,
right side.
Like,
yeah,
doesn't
interesting.
have a huge arm. It's quick and accurate and all that, but yeah, I wouldn't see it a right side. Outside, okay.
I'm going to say P2. Just kidding. Love you, Kim.
They've been playing great too. I mean, they've made a ton of finals. 1-1.
Yep.
Yeah. They're the team to beat this year so far.
You guys got
and
them.
you.
Well, no.
You're undefeated against them this year.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, well, you haven't played them on the World Tour, have you?
No. Oh, cool. Thanks.
I think.
I feel like they've been smashing us all year because they've been doing better.
Yeah.
But now that you mention it, thanks, Travis.
There you go. Stats guy over here.
Stats BBB guy.
Stats guy. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but they've been balling for sure.
Yeah.
It's been really fun to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I love the level of competition, the rivals that are happening, you know, people calling each other out on things. It's been fun.
I think
fun.
the guys' side on the AVP is getting a little chippy, and I love it. Like,
It's
I think
so
that
fun.
anytime you put you and Trev or the Taylors or Cam and Theo, just anytime two of those teams are on the court,
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to watch it.
Yeah.
Something fun's going to happen every time.
Yeah.
And I like Theo and them, like, you know, they call themselves boring and the robots and stuff. But them just like kind of owning that kind of gives them their own brand that's kind of entertaining as well. And then Theo, if you like really get him to talk honestly, his dialogue is amazing.
He is one of the funniest people I've
ever.
met in my entire life.
Funniest people.
I love talk. I've really enjoyed getting to know Theo better
Yeah,
this
we need
year.
to get that guy back on the show.
Yeah, he's a hoot.
With Trevor, maybe. Those two go at it.
Oh,
They go at
gosh.
it, and like neither guy will take anything personally, so
Love
it's
it.
just amazing dialogue.
It's perfect.
That's so good. I originally started to get to know Theo, I guess, through Brandie,
Okay.
of course. But I didn't even really know him. I'd never spoken to him in person. And he walked by, they're having a conversation, and she was like, "You need to follow him on Instagram. You need to do it. He's so funny. His
He won't post
comments,
often, but when he
his
does."
stories, they're just hysterical." Immediately, he posted something, and I was on the floor crying. I'm like, I need to talk to this guy. He's so funny. You will just always be laughing. So, just like a dry, quick, witty.
Yes.
Oh, and
But, like, the
just
tone.
Self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Immediately.
It's so funny.
He just won the tournament. Yeah, I was terrible. I just sucked. I couldn't block anything.
Oh my
And
goodness.
like their interview after they won the quarterfinals and world champs. I don't know if you would have watched it. It was so funny. They're like, Theo, like, great job, because it was Julius Brink doing the interviews.
Yeah.
He's like, Theo, like, you were a blocking machine. He's like, I actually blocked terrible. We should have won in way easier than that. And then,
Oh my
then
goodness.
Kame's like, yeah, you're probably right. And Theo goes, and if Kame could have dug anything, it would have been great. And then they just start fighting with each other. And Brink's like, great job.
Yeah. Let's get these guys off
It
the
was
mic.
so funny.
Let's get these guys off the mic.
Madison and Riley McKibben were like, this is the greatest interview I've seen in my life.
It's pretty good.
It's too honest for the Europeans.
But it's
too
like the
honest.
exact opposite of like what a Taylor or a Trevor interview would be.
Yeah.
Which is why the dynamic is just
It's
great.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too good.
Are there any fun rivalries internationally on the women's side?
I'm sure that there are. I don't know if they're as explicit as they are on the guys' side.
Yeah.
But there's certain people, I think, that don't like playing each other.
Yeah.
Just naturally that happens, whether it's the persona or the personalities that clash or the stare downs through the nets or whatever it is. But there are people that I love to play against, which is always fun. Just like that mutual respect and having like a good quality volleyball game, whether you win or lose. That for me is like the most fun. But I don't know if I can say specifically who I think has a rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting on the women's side.
Yeah.
Because even if you do have a rival, it's just not part of the culture to like put it out there and be like, I'm coming after you.
Totally.
Whereas the guys are just like, screw it. I'm just going to say it.
Now it's a free-for-all.
And if you take it personally, that's on you, bro.
I wonder if that'll ever change on
Guy
the women's
code.
side.
Someone will do it.
Someone will do it?
Someone's going to do it.
I think someone will. I mean, not that it was never out there with Mel and Pav and April and Alex, but all of their matches were so epic that everyone knew that that was a match you needed to watch. And I think people get the wrong idea when you call something a rivalry.
Yeah.
Like, well, they don't hate each other.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not what a rivalry is. A rivalry is like just two equal competitors.
Yeah.
For other
Playing
sports, it's more like the fans hate each other, right?
Yeah.
Like that's part of the rivalry. The players hate each other, but they don't want to lose to anyone.
Right.
They just know that person makes their life a lot more difficult. So it's like they're my rival.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like Canada and U.S. hockey rivals.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more the fans than it is the players.
Yeah. That's a perfect comparison, actually.
Oh, thanks.
But when you got out of college, though, because in the U.S. we have a pretty clear way to get into professional beach volleyball, and it's a lot easier than Canada or really than any other country in the world. I would say, aside from maybe Brazil.
Yeah.
Because we have the AVP, we have CBVAs, we have all these other sort of little tournaments you can play to sort of work your way up. But Canadians, I mean, you guys have to hit the road.
Yeah.
And you have to hit it so hard.
So
And you have
brutal.
to like losing.
Yeah.
Because you will do it all the time.
It takes a lot of courage for you guys to do what you're doing.
We used to be on the world tour, and then like us American guys were all like complaining and like BSing about all this stuff, and then like came and Ben and those guys come up and like, can you guys just shut up? Your national federation's paying you. You got sponsors, blah, 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 like all these things down the list. And we're like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
And I know it's probably a little better now, but like, I don't know. How long have we been around? 4 to 8 years ago, it was like those guys were struggling. And they couldn't get a sponsor because the national team owned the sponsorship rights. And like, but yeah, we were like, oh, yeah. We should probably shut up.
Yeah. I mean, each federation and each kind of country has their own difficulties when it comes to beach volleyball. Nothing's perfect.
Right.
I feel like in any sport, in any federation. But yeah, Canadian volleyball is very interesting because we don't have a domestic tour. So when you are done your university or within your university and you choose beach volleyball, you have to actively just fly to Thailand and lose in qualifiers, right? So you're spending lots of money for very little kind of success just because you're not used to playing and you're not used to kind of having those intense moments and the struggle and the pressure because you don't get to play in competition often.
You have to fly to Thailand and lose in qualifiers. That's the first step.
That was my first step, and that's why I say it. It's my very first FIVB. I was 16 years old, and I played with Victoria Altamar. I don't know why she played with me, but anyways. And we lost in the qualifier in a monsoon. We played in a monsoon, and courts were flooded. They made us change courts halfway through our match, which was wild. I couldn't see her. Like, that's how much it was raining.
Man.
This is the time that they had the lucky loser. And so we go to the technical meeting praying that we're going to get lucky loser. Yeah. We go to lucky loser and there's 3 teams and they put 2 in like whatever their hat and they pull it out 50-50, not us. Great. Okay, one more chance. Let's go. Fingers crossed. Same thing, put our names in a hat, pull out the other team. I'm like, you have to be kidding me. Like 16-year-old Soph in Thailand with Victoria Altamar, who couldn't be more than 21 at the time.
Yeah.
Which, crazy that my mom let me go by myself. But that was my first experience of a world tour. And I'm like, is this what it's like? Because I don't know if I can do this. Like, this is wild.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, like, yes, fly to Thailand, lose, and see if you really want to do it. See if
at
you really
least
want to do it.
Started right at the bottom.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't get much worse than that.
No, it doesn't. But no, there is more help with the federation now that we've had really successful teams who are kind of paving the way for us. I'm optimistic that it'll get better. Don't know if we'll ever have a domestic tour in my lifetime of playing volleyball, but in terms of the support from the federation, it's getting better.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you go to Thailand, you lose in that qualifier. Mm-hmm. That's a moment where you do a little soul search and you find out what you're made of.
Yeah.
And here you are. You know, you're traveling around. You're ranked in the top 6 on the planet.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing. Why did you continue playing? Like what?
Ooh.
Why did you make that decision?
Well, first I just love competition, but when I talk to people about the big why you're playing, which is everyone's kind of go-to thing, it's because I love the moments that you surprise yourself. Like I love thinking that you can't do something and then in one moment you're like, holy smokes, I did that.
Right.
That becomes your new benchmark. You're like, okay, now we got to up the ante a little bit, up the standard. So I just love those moments in practice, in matches, like, you know, winning the semifinal at Worlds. I looked at Brandie and I was like, holy smokes, we just did that. It didn't feel as like monumental or as big as I envisioned it to feel, but it was so nice just to take a step back and be like, holy smokes, we did that.
Yeah.
So like those moments and that feeling is like absolutely why I play.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of those in my career. I'm very fortunate. Like first national championships with USC, that was a moment. First, you know, gold medal at the under 21 World Championships, that was a moment. And again, it's not about the successes. It's like the little wins as well. But when they lead to the big successes, it feels just as good.
Yeah. I mean, everyone always says it's not about the big successes, but it kind of is.
Those are just reassurances. Like they're just nice to know that you're on the right track and you're doing the right things.
Did you feel like you were setting your goals, like throughout your whole journey, you were setting your goals, like, I'm a kid and I want to be an Olympic gold medalist, or was like, I just want to win right here in college. Like that would be the coolest thing in the world. And then next it was like, I just want to make the world tour. Or was it long term?
It's always been long term. Yeah. I think after Tia and I had pretty good success at the Under 21 World Championships, and we won the first gold medal for women on the FIVB World
Tia
Tour.
Marich, for anyone who...
Cal Poly shout out.
Yeah.
That taste of it, I was like, I want to do that at the Olympics. Like I want to win the first gold medal at the Olympics and do kind of that like synonymous closing of a book type thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Legit.
Yeah.
And
all the stuff in between, like the winning of national championships and stuff, that was never a focus. It just kind of worked out that way.
That's interesting. For me, it was kind of opposite because I think the same way where it's like I don't know, everything. I always was like, just like, I wonder if I can achieve this. And then I achieve it. I'm like, well, I did this, so let's see if I can do this.
Yeah.
But I never was like Olympic gold medal until I literally was in the running for the Olympic. Like I wasn't even thinking about Olympics.
Yeah.
And then Hayden's like, well, we're second in the Olympic rankings right now.
Oh my gosh.
Want to go for it? I'm like, yeah, let's do that.
I guess
Might as well.
I guess so. We're here.
And that's when it like became a thing for me. But it's just interesting because I know so many other athletes are like from a younger age are just like,
Yeah.
that's what I want to do and I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
And then the wins along the way are amazing. But yeah, it's interesting.
I think too in Canada, because there's not that many athletes, like when I was young and I was picked out by Volleyball Canada to kind of win a gold medal at the Olympics, that was like what they told me I was going to do.
Whoa.
So they were like,
a lot of
you're going to go to
pressure.
the Olympics, you're going to do this, 2024 is your year, ever since I was 16.
Wow, that's
2024 is your
that's
year.
crazy to put that on a kid.
I know. Whether
Especially
or
if
not
they
they actually
weren't-
thought it was going to happen,
Well,
I don't
especially
know.
if you're not like, it's not your words.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If you're like, I guess this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
But you're really like kind of destined, or you're to go down a different path maybe at some point. Mm-hmm. That's when I don't like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely been moments where that's like weighed on me a little bit, but I don't feel I like owe it to Volleyball Canada if I make it or if I don't.
Right.
I'm just kind of proving myself that I could or couldn't
Right.
do it.
Yeah.
And the process of it is what's actually fun. But
Yeah.
when I was losing in qualifiers, when I was, not doing well, not having a partner, playing with a bunch of people, having to fly to Rwanda when no one else will play with me for events, like in those moments and having those losses, I'm like, okay, am I letting down the federation, right? Like not that there's tons of like monetary investment, but they thought I was going to do X, Y, and Z. So it's like, are you a disappointment if you don't end
Right.
up doing that? So I'm kind of over that now. I'm like very much like doing this for myself and my partner, but in between the time of graduating college to where I am now, that was definitely like a thing in my head.
Yeah. I think about that a decent amount now because I feel like there's been a changing in the guard for the U.S. men, which there has been. And like the guys who retired were still winning medals and like being our top guys. So now that we don't have any medals this year. Our best finish is 4th at World Champs.
Yeah.
For the American guys.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I feel bad. Like we need to get them some medals here. Like
Yeah.
I got a
There's
silver
some
in
pressure there.
Norseca. I'm carrying the boat.
Oh, you got a Norseca?
There you go.
Hey, Trav.
Cheers to that, Travis.
This
Cheers
guy
to
on a
that.
stipend.
That's true. Aguas calientes.
Aguas we lost. It was Cuba.
Oh, shoot.
Cuba.
Oh, I just figured that you win all of them.
Yeah, 7-foot defender, right? From Cuba?
Yes.
Oh, for Cuba.
Isn't that
Yes, the
crazy?
Yeah.
Cuban guy.
Yeah. And
He's
they,
huge.
They
7
beat
foot, 170 pounds. Maybe.
Probably weighs the same as me. Jeez.
Man, his brother was phenomenal in Rio. Because it's his brother who took 5th in Rio.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
they were
Yeah.
unreal.
And
didn't know
then,
that.
so it's his younger brother and this guy who's built like a middle linebacker. So the 7-footer's defender and the 6'6" middle linebacker guy's the blocker.
6'6"
Flies.
It's wild.
Yeah,
It's such a wild
man.
dynamic to watch. Like
It is.
You're like, there's no way you're playing defense,
Yeah.
that guy. But he gets balls up.
And then he falls over and he digs a line shot.
Right, yeah.
There's not much running you have to do when you're that tall. Seriously. One step, fall over, you're good. It's my motto on defense
It's kind
anyways.
of the future. Like the average defender every year, I feel like it goes up like an inch.
Yeah.
The average height for defenders.
Yep.
Bigger and bigger. And that's what Kent always makes fun of me. He's like, when are you going to stop trying to be a blocker? He's like, you're already small for a defender.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So interesting.
It is.
So interesting.
And you're one of the bigger defenders on the world tour, I feel like.
Yeah, taller than Brandie, which is
Yeah.
funny enough.
You're what, 6
feet?
6 feet?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you used to block though, right? Or have you always just been defense?
No, this is my first year playing defense.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's an interesting transition. It's humbling.
Doing pretty dang good.
It's humbling. Yeah. I mean, it's not hard to play defense behind Brandie. I'll say that. She covers a lot of the court.
Right.
Yeah.
So, no, but it's been a really good transition. It's been hard. It's a whole different perspective. You're looking
Yeah.
at very different things as a defender. So
Yeah.
I'm still very much learning.
It's so hard.
It's so hard.
It's crazy, especially coming from blocking where like everything you're doing is within a small step and arm's reach.
Yeah.
And then it's the opposite in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everything's so far away.
Totally.
Like, where do I be?
Yeah.
But yeah. Was it like a welcomed challenge? Like you wanted to, did you ever like feel like I really want to learn defense and like put some time in that? Or were you like content as a blocker and then you're like, well, I have Brandie here, so I'm not going to let go of this opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with Will Hoey actually years ago when him and Brandie were dating. And he was like, well, what happens if Heather retires? Like, who's she going to play with? And I was like, interesting turn of events. Like, I was a pretty successful blocker. I don't think I would have ever been top 5 in the world as a blocker, but I would have been successful enough. I jump well enough to be a blocker. But just kind of sparking that, I was like, maybe I'll split block. Now I'll just get my toes wet and kind of see if there's a possibility that I can do this. And then this past year at induction camp with Volleyball Canada, when I mentioned that I wanted to transition to become a defender, they were like, absolutely not. We have no blockers. That is not an option. Like, you cannot become a defender. They didn't really know the conversations I was having with, Brandie and other people when I was looking for partnerships, but they were very adamant, like, you are not going to be a defender. I was like, well, nobody tells me what to do.
Yeah, too bad it's not your decision.
I was like, have you met me? Like, that's just going to make me want to play defense more.
Probably do the opposite.
It's been my whole life. So, yeah. And then when Brandie, when I reached out to Brandie to play in Itapema, the Brazil tournament we were in, and she politely declined, I think that kind of stayed in her brain a little bit that I could be an option as a defender. But it was definitely a risky choice by her to take me on because I'd never played defense. But no, having her as an option as a blocker definitely solidified the decision to play defense.
And what do you think you guys have had great success early on. What do you think? I mean, my guess would be you guys just side out really well.
Yeah.
But do you think that's the main factor in terms of you guys' success?
I think our side-out game is really strong, but I also think that in terms of our defense, we do see it as like a team thing. When Brandie makes blocks, it's like, yay, good job, Brandie, but also, Soph, good job not moving early.
Right.
So it's really seen as like a team, I helped you do that, so like team win.
Yeah.
But also, I might not dig as many balls as her ex-partner Heather, but I'm going to transition the balls that I do dig.
Right.
So I think that part is where we're finding the most success, and then as soon as I can dig more balls, we'll just be that much better.
I feel like people overlook so much the value of a defender getting the blocker blocks and vice versa.
It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, back in the, like me and Trev likes to go off the cuff a bit, but he's really good at reading. Like, he has a crazy sense. So he's right most of the time, so it kind of works. But other times I'm like, I can tell that they saw what you did and it screwed up what I was doing up here.
Yeah.
Whereas like with Hayden, he was always setting me up, I felt like. And then I was setting him up. I'm baiting guys. And then I let him go a certain way because I know he's right there. And I'm like opening up already before I even look because I know he's going to be right there. And
Totally.
But I feel like people don't think about that quite as much. And defenders are like, I'm just going to try to get the ball up. It's like, no, just let's work in unison and make them make perfect shots and all that.
Totally.
And then you're not even necessarily getting the digs or being the best defender, but you're winning.
Exactly. Yeah, I think Brandie sees it the same way. Like, if she makes a late dive move and somebody shoots a high line on a foreplay and we run it well and I dig it in transition, it's an equal win for both of us. And I see it the other way when she makes a successful block. So I think that part is not talked enough in volleyball because it is such a team defense. You don't have to have the most amount of blocks or the most amount of digs. Like, how is your team doing?
Yeah.
I won't say that I, run down tens and thousands of balls. But when we make plays, it looks like a dance. It looks like we're in unison. Yes. And that's where, I don't know, it becomes fun.
Yeah.
Like, that part's really nice because we're like, tricked ya.
Yeah.
And those moments are good.
That's got to be, I mean, I would say that's probably your biggest key to success.
Yeah.
From an outside. Just in terms of having success so early on.
Yeah.
And then you have that, plus then you're going to get more experience and more touches, which I'm, 4 years in now?
Wow.
And literally yesterday was my best day.
Love
defending. I'm like, I think I kind of get it
I
a little bit.
I got this.
A little bit. Granted, Taylor just hit a few balls right at me, so it made me feel really good. But we'll see what happens when I watch film.
Still, I think that as a defender, the fact that you didn't move and you weren't like, well, I just dug him twice. True. I'm not going to go run for the high line and guess here. Like, you just stayed there.
I just committed and relaxed. Yeah, exactly.
And like, I'm sure Taylor was like, well, they can't be running a one block again.
Until they are.
They can't be doing it again. And then 8 points later, you're up 8-2.
Right, exactly.
I was like, well, that was a good run.
And at one point in that run, Trevor's like, hey, let's run this. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Same thing, dude. I'm just going to sit right here.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Like, don't change it.
The chess match is so fun.
It's so fun.
My favorite part of beach volleyball is like finding the players. Jake Gibb described it this way. I've loved it ever since, was finding a player's troubleshooting pattern.
Yeah.
Like, once they get blocked in the angle, what do they respond with most of the the time.
Yeah.
Then you key on that, and then you start to string together like 3 and 4 point runs.
Yeah.
And then game's over.
Yeah, that changes the whole game.
But then, like, when you get to the best players, that move starts going like 3-4 deep to where, like, I know you're going to do this because I did this, but then you think I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do that. And then I think, you know, and it goes really deep. And then there's changes being made, like, in mid-play, and then you're trying to also sync that with your defender. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wild.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And my brother is not he doesn't know a lot about volleyball. Like, there was one time he came to Portugal to Espinho, and he was like, yeah, 25-10. He was, like, trying to chirp the other team, and I was like, it only goes to 21 that. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
You 25.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I don't know what you think is happening right now, but that's not it. But he texted me after one of the games that Brandie and I was playing this year, and he goes, do you guys have, like, cheat calls? Like, do you guys have specific calls for where you put the ball? I'm like, no. It's line and it's cross, it's left or it's right.
Yeah.
He's like, but doesn't the other team hear it? Like, can't they just match the defense on that? I'm like, you're so cute. It's happening too fast.
Family has the same
Like,
things all the time.
it's so cute. I love that you're thinking that, but it's happening so fast.
At some levels,
there's no way.
people you do realize they give early calls.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, at our level, no. But then I remember growing up, it was like, you just listen, and the hitter always hits what the setter
Always.
says.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
And you actually could play off that. So it's not completely wrong.
He thought we were like naming things. Like line and cross were like blue, orange. Like we were giving them like code names. Or people are like, you're doing the opposite. Like when you call cross, you actually mean line. I'm like, that's so much information. I can't process that. That's like people who do like the L to figure out which way's left and right with their hands. Like, this is hilarious. But
Yeah. Well, and we are wrong a lot. Like
all the time.
When we're giving calls, we just give we say line like
almost
90% of the time, and then we correct it as they're hitting it.
Yeah.
Angle. Line angle.
Langle.
Langle.
Classic Langle.
Yeah.
So the calls, like, and Trevor, like, I always try to be right. Like, I'd rather have the late call than the wrong call. Mm-hmm. But Trevor's like, no, just say it. I don't care if you're wrong.
Hilarious.
I just want you to say something. Like, I want the right call.
Yeah, totally.
If I hear line, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go off of what I'm seeing and hit what he said.
Yeah.
And you're wrong, I'm going to be mad at you.
Totally. Totally. I always think of the calls as a way of like showing you what the defense looks like. It doesn't necessarily have to go there.
Yes, exactly.
But it's just like showing you what is available for you.
That's a good way to put that.
Because a lot of people will get angry if you like say high line and then you end up smoking at hard cross and you win. You're like, listen to me. I'm like, no.
No.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's just to show you like what the defense setup kind of looks like
that's
and
a good way to put it.
what your options are. So
And that's what when I played with Skylar McCoy, I would give him a wrong call here and there, and I'd be like, "Oh shoot, sorry, dude," and he'd be like, "It's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
I don't have to listen."
it is.
And it was actually in Martinique where I first met you. And I was playing with Ben Vaught, and Ben, the blocker could pull line, and the defender could have been camping in the line the whole time. And Ben was like, line, and I was like, Ben, I'm never listening to any call ever again.
I don't like that.
It's such a default.
for me.
No.
So I'm actually more like Trevor, where you just say something,
Right.
so it's not silent, but I'm just doing my own thing.
One of the like Brazilian coaches, Dan, we were watching
Dan Wayner?
the ABP, yeah. And he says, don't shoot what I didn't call. If you're going to go and attack something, that's fine. But like if I yell line and I'm screaming line and you shoot cut, you're either deaf or you're dumb.
Right.
He's like, it's
Yeah.
one of the two. You should not be shooting the opposite of what I'm calling. If you want to attack it, great.
Right.
But don't shoot it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. Deaf or dumb, I'm like, dang.
Unless you give a little hezzy, you know?
Yeah.
You go a little high line, then drop the elbow,
Yeah.
a little hezzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But you got to put a little flair in there.
The hitter
Yeah.
also gets the last look, though, because
true.
after the setter calls it, I mean, the ball hasn't even reached its peak when the setter says something.
Right.
And the hitter, like, if you use your peripherals, like, you can see a late move if it's a big blocker.
Totally.
So you also have that last second adjustment you can make, I think.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love nerd out.
Yeah.
I like the way she put it, though, in
Yeah.
terms of it's telling you what their general setup is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really telling you where to hit it. It's telling you what they look like
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
And then,
Thanks,
then
guys.
they usually don't look like that half a second later.
I'm so wise. So volleyball wise, guys.
Brilliant.
I'm sure you've probably learned quite a bit this year, though.
So much. Like my brain is spinning.
Yeah.
Like getting involved with a really high performance coach, Rico, and he's very specific and very analytical. The first time we ever competed, he sent our game plan for the day for the one match, and it was like scrolling text messages. Pardon? My brain can't register this. Like, if you serve here, this is going to be the first play, this is the second play, serve
God,
middle,
no.
serve line, serve. It would be full on like paragraphs per person. So I'm in the middle of a match as like a new defender being like, okay, the ball went left, which means I go here. Brandie blocks this. My priority is this. Like,
so I'm going to go here. And you just
I
end up
sucked.
not moving.
I was terrible.
I can't do that.
It was so bad. At the beginning, I was so overwhelmed. It was wild.
Yeah.
But the more that I got used to it, the more that I was able to kind of simplify what he was saying in like my own narrative and my own terms, that was really helpful. But initially I was like, okay, well, I got to do what coach says. Like, you're really knowledgeable. You want a silver in Rio. Cool.
Yeah.
But I was like a deer in headlights for the first tournament. Nicolette Martin, I'm sure Arnett's never going to get that right, texted me after Mexico and was like, I don't know who just played, but that was not you. Yeah. She's like, you looked lost. I'm like, it's because I was. No idea what was happening. If Brandie didn't block balls and serve well, we would not have been successful.
Yeah.
Not that we were, but like we would have lost 21-0 for how lost I felt on defense. Yeah. So
was there, I mean, you mentioned that you asked Brandie to play in Itapema, which was the fall of, 2021?
Yeah.
And then you ended up playing with Alex Paletto. But how did you and Brandie end up actually getting together? I'm sure that there's no small amount of pressure that comes with playing with one of the greatest blockers in Canadian history.
Yeah, so I reached out to her to play that Itapema tournament, and I texted her and it said, hey girl, I need points. Can you please do me a solid and play with me in this event? We weren't super good friends, but I was like, I'm going to shoot my shot. She was like, I'm in my off season, just finished the Olympics. Thank you, but no thank you. Really politely declined. And then it wasn't until months later she had reached out to me when she was living in Louisiana. And this was this might have been after the Itapema tournament, actually, where I was home for one day and then she was like, can you fly to Louisiana and play with me? Just to practice, just to see. And so I spent 24 hours in Toronto, flew to Louisiana, spent like less than 48 hours there, trained with her against Cloth and Ness, Kristen and Taryn, and then flew back to Canada because we had our national team tryouts. So it was just a lot of back and forth. And in those practices, I guess she felt a little chemistry, and it was a couple weeks later that she finally committed. So
awesome.
Yeah, I remember exactly where I was when I got her message being like, hey, you want to do this? So good. I was coaching the university that I coach at. I was at one of their practices and ran up to the head coach and showed him the text message and was like super giddy. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I just got asked out on the date by the guy that I liked. Like, this is so great. Yeah, it was a really fun moment. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Just because I knew all of the hard work and all of the partnerships I had been in, and, you know, playing in Toronto in November outside when it's freezing cold, like all of those things, you know, led to that moment. So it was really special. It was really cool.
Just sitting in Thailand in a monsoon.
You know, that is a memory.
I bet.
My first ever F5EB, I'm like, are they all like this? Why do people do this?
Yeah.
We don't make enough money for this.
No.
Yeah.
How do you train in the winter, in November in Toronto?
So we have a really great indoor facility. It has 3 indoor courts with our national team, but we were going to Brazil, which is outside. And so I was like, I can't play inside volleyball, sand volleyball before this tournament. So Paletto and I would wake up and practice at 6:30 in November. So I'd be wearing like 3 pairs of socks, outside. 2 pairs of leggings, like sweatpants, gloves, hat, earmuffs, the whole thing.
Oh, God.
These 2 guys were lovely. Joel and Roland would practice with us before work. So their work started at 9, which means we needed to be done by 9. So the sun would just rise as we were like playing our warm-up game.
Couldn't even wait for the sun to come up.
No. So it was freezing. Like we would be activating in pitch black.
I would have retired.
I was like, we're really doing this. Like we're this committed to this. Okay, I guess we're doing it. Dang. Like, yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
That's wild.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was.
How's the hand setting?
Yeah, didn't happen. I was wearing gloves.
Yeah, right.
But even just like running, like the traction in the sand, wearing 3 pairs of socks.
No kidding.
You can't run.
Sliding
and
around.
you can't feel your toes anyway.
Can't feel your toes. I'm like, is this worth it?
Yeah.
To what? Feel a little wind? I'm like, maybe we go inside. Maybe this is just crazy.
It's not like you can feel the wind on your body.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's kind of what tells you like what direction it's going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just seeing the ball just going.
Like imagine playing in a snowsuit. Like you feel like the Michelin Man, like the tire guy, like trying to play volleyball. It was ridiculous. I don't know why those guys played with us too. It's not like they were training for anything. They're just like, let's get activated early in the morning. I'm like, y'all are psychos.
Can't imagine why 2 guys would want to play volleyball with pretty women.
Oh yeah, God. I mean, you couldn't even see us. It was dark. So they're like, I think they're attractive. I don't know.
In full snowsuits.
But no, those guys are amazing.
The Michelin girl.
Yeah, seriously. It's my new brand. At Michelin Tires, please sponsor me.
That would be a hilarious sponsor.
Totally. Be very fitting for Canadian beach volleyball.
Seriously. Did you feel like was there any mounting pressure after Tlaxcala? Because you guys didn't qualify and you're like, oh shit, like playing with Brandie. We didn't qualify.
Yeah.
We got to get it together.
Yeah.
Any of those?
I remember we took a photo in the hotel near the airport when we lost, and I was like, sorry, girl, back to losing in qualifiers, like, my bad.
Yeah.
After being, coming 5th at the Olympics, I was like, sorry, dude, like, my bad. But she was amazing about it, and that definitely put a halt on our World Championships, like, qualification bid. And then when we were scheduled to go to Doha, this was after our 5th in Itapema, which was our best result so far.
Did you guys come out of the qualifier for that?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good 5th then.
Good 5th. Really great 5th. First time that our team had like qualified and then played really meaningful matches. First time I ever played Terese in an international stage. Yeah. So that was wild. So after that event, we were going to fly to Doha because that was the next event.
Yeah.
And they required a vaccination. So I went and got my 3rd dose in Brazil. Oh. Not a Brazilian citizen, so I therefore can't get a QR code. I had doctor's note, I had papers, I had all the things from the hospitals that said this is legit. I went with Barbara, I went with Rico, I went with Brandie, all the things. Brandie didn't need to get vaccinated because she had COVID. So we thought we were all fine to go. So we get to the airport, and there's a whole bunch of other countries who are trying to navigate how to get all their paperwork needed to go to Doha. They all are successful in going. You have to like upload your documents and then get approved. I maxed out on the amount of applications that you can submit to the Qatari government. I was like, can I upload a new email or a new passport number? Can't. Like, I was maxed out. So we had to spend 48 hours in a hotel near the airport to try to figure out how we were going to get to Qatar because it was a major event for us to qualify for Worlds.
Yeah.
So we called like the Canadian consulate in Brazil. Like, I spoke to a Canadian delegate to verify my vaccination. Yeah. He was like, yeah, no problem. Sounds good. So he writes me this letter. I upload it. They still won't accept it because it's not a QR code.
Oh my God.
Wild. Like the lengths that we went to try to get us on this flight.
Seriously.
We were like laughing and crying and it was emotional and ended up not going to Doha. My bag went to Doha. I did not go to Doha. No. Which like a huge security breach for that airline, but lost my luggage and didn't go to Doha. So we sat in the lounge. We had a glass of champagne and we were like, you know what, guys, this was not meant for us. Like something told us that we were not supposed to go to this event. So we went home, had a little bit of time at home to adjust and kind of decompress from all the crazy. And then I think we went into the World Championship seeded like 22. And I think 23 qualify.
That's what I was going to ask was, how did you end up qualifying? Did you just barely made it in there? Yeah,
so the 5th in Itapema and then our 9th in Turkey.
Okay.
Ended up kind of doing it for us.
Was a big one.
Big one. We thought we needed a 5th.
Okay.
So when we got the 9th, we were like, well, we're going to have to wait and see because I think that was our only result. Those two, the Mexico and then the Norseca we played in.
Yeah.
That played a huge role.
Norsecas are decent points.
Yeah. So we flew from Brazil to Mexico to play that Norseca, back to Brazil, and then traveled maybe to Doha, maybe to Turkey. It was wild.
Mexico to Brazil is not close.
I also was vaccinated. Like, I was sick as a dog.
Yeah.
Traveling on that flight, I'm like, Brandie, you have to carry me. Like, I was dead to the world.
Oh.
I got sick after my, first vaccination, second, third. I'm like, okay, we're done. Tapped out. Tapped out.
Jeez.
So, the things we do for sport, right?
So that was a really not hard-earned silver medal you had at World
No, not at all. Not at all.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I tell everybody, I'm like, we went through a little adversity. And they're like,
yeah,
everyone does. I'm like, yeah, but. And then I list the things. They're like, okay, yeah, well earned. Well earned.
Yeah. When did you find out that you did qualify for Worlds?
The day that it came out, Rico and I were waiting for the list to come out. Holding our breath, texting each other super early in the morning. Brandie doesn't care for points. She's like, we make it, we make it. But Rico and I were obsessed with point counting. Yeah. And I remember texting him being like, we did it. This is so incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good feeling.
When you guys, when you get in like that, after going through so much, when you get to Rome, you're like, we have nothing to lose.
Zero things.
Was there just no pressure playing super free?
No pressure at all. Anytime that we did an interview or spoke to anyone about it, it was just about playing good quality volleyball. That is my focus. I'm super new in my position, so if I feel a little bit more comfortable, maybe 4 years in, I'll feel comfortable. But then I know that we're doing well. And then, just playing good volleyball transpired into wins. And then we won the semis, and I was like, dang, we're doing this. So it was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Between the semis and then winning our pre-quarter against Germany, being down and then coming out in the third set, those were incredible wins.
That was what, Borger Sud?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And a team that we've played before, that's the team that kicked us out of, that beat us in the quarterfinal in Itapema.
Okay.
So there was a little bit
They're
of
good. They can get hot. Good. I mean, they won World Tour finals.
Yeah.
And then every now and then they just go on this heater and you're like, they're back.
They did well in Hamburg.
Yeah.
Home crowd. So they'll sneak up on you. Those two, you can't sleep on them. You can't sleep on anybody.
And especially any German team.
Yeah.
I just watch them serving. I'm like, every single player has 15 different serves. Yeah. And they're all effective.
Them and the Swiss girls.
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys being fed and taught on how to serve? Because they're gnarly. Like, this thing is packing me in the chest. Like, I didn't think that was possible.
that Ludwig serve, everyone's got that in their back pocket at some point.
I need to learn how to do that. But I actually was packed by a float serve this year. What? By one of the German girls, like in the chest. And I'm like, this thing's landing in. Like, I don't know how that's like even just physically possible, but
just finds that air pocket and straight.
Shout out Sinja, that was for you. Like,
they've been playing great.
Yeah, they're another very strong German team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing very well. It's nice to see new faces on top of podiums.
Yeah.
I think it's cool not knowing who's going to win events. It keeps things interesting.
Yeah.
And really fresh, on the women's side at least.
I think it's been very cool for the players, especially because it was pretty tense between the players in volleyball world about the Elite 16, about the format, because they were saying there's just not enough teams. There's too many good teams. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure every Elite 16 has been won or featured multiple teams on the podium from the qualifier.
Yeah.
And then you get, you and Brandie, you're the 22 seed at Worlds.
Yeah.
Getting second place.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the most convincing argument the players could have made, that we're deeper than 16.
Totally. Yeah.
It's been cool to see a lot of new teams too, like you said, like Svenja Muller and Cindy Tillman.
Yeah.
Like qualifier winning Ostrava.
Totally.
It's cool.
It's interesting. I mean, I like the Elite 16 format. I think it's going to help kind of professionalize the sport and legitimize it a little bit more than it has been. Mm-hmm. But I think that they need to find a way to make the movement a little bit easier. Because, like you said, there are teams coming out of qualifiers doing super well.
Yeah.
And the qualifiers themselves are no joke.
No.
I'm like, this was a finals 2 weeks ago, and now it's a qualification.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is insane.
Like Brill Osiak have won 4 tournaments, and they were just in qualifiers.
It's insane. Like, if you get a bad matchup, sorry, it's not your tournament. Sorry for you. So it's been insane. But I do like the system. I think as long as the challenge bracket gets compensated well enough, and I think hopefully there'll be a little bit more monetary incentive to support the tour, I think people will be okay with the way the format is.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why do we not want the top 16 to be noticed?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we need to have names. You need to have people who...
They need to capitalize on it as well, right? Like, it's one thing to, put them out there, but wasn't the whole point you guys were going to build these brands and, put the athletes out there more? And I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that they'll start figuring it out. I mean, this was the first year, so I think there's a lot of room for improvement. But even before Brandie and I were in the Elite 16s, the first IBPVA kind of thing that they did when they explained the Elite 16 and the challenge events, we were like, we like this. We were in the bottom of the challenge, and we're like, we like this.
Yeah.
So I think if you're confident enough to get in the Elite 16, you'll like the format.
Yeah.
Because you're you'll be taken care of.
Right, yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah. How was Stad? Because that was a 32 team. Mm-hmm. It was an Elite 32.
Stad was pretty cool. I was okay with that format.
Yeah.
It felt kind of like old school.
Yeah.
Like how it used to be.
Right.
But no, Stad's such an amazing event.
Yeah.
They know how to put on a tournament, which it was only my second time in Stad.
When was your first?
Which is pretty cool. I played with Julie Gordon maybe in
I love Juju.
2017 or 2018.
Okay.
So it's been a while since I'd been there. Which is funny because people are like, where did you come from? Yeah. And I'm like, I've been around. I've just been not doing well. I've been losing in qualifiers, but yeah.
Well, COVID was also weird because I feel like you did take a step back, and then because you had, COVID was funky, and then you played 3 tournaments last year, 4.
Yeah, maybe. I think I played Sofia, Rwanda, and
can't believe I missed you in Bulgaria.
I know.
Me and Jake and Will lived there.
I know.
For the whole summer, and then we leave and you pop in. I'm like, damn it.
I know. That was a cool setup too.
Yeah, it was sick.
It was a really cool setup. Yeah, I think those were my 3 events.
And you got silver there, right? Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fine. Show up, win a silver, leave. If only I could do that every time, but gold, not silver. No, yeah, just 3 events. I played with Camille Saxton. So in Ontario, things were pretty shut down during COVID.
Yeah.
So my family built a gym in our garage.
Okay.
Because we're all athletes, we're like, we need to find a way to stay fit and stay active and honestly just have somewhere to escape the house because we weren't allowed outside. It was freezing cold during the winter. So you couldn't even go on like COVID walks, you know, because you're just going to freeze. So that was really helpful. I really focused on strength and conditioning, which was huge for my development overall. And then I was like, I'm desperate for a partner. There's nobody here for me to train with. So I reached out to Camille, who had been retired for a little bit. She had a baby a couple of years ago and was like, hey, would you want to play in a couple of events with me? She was like, absolutely, fly to Calgary. Let's do some training. Her dad's a legend in the sport, so he was our coach. And trained in Calgary, had intentions of moving there, was going to work for her family's business, like had this whole plan set out. And then Brandie showed up. So, you know, I'm really grateful that Camille kind of took me on and was able to go to Rwanda, even having a child, and go to all these events. So it was a really interesting year. Like the plan of my life changed within like 2 weeks in talking to Brandie. Like I'd set up to live in Calgary, which is not close to Ontario for those that don't know Canada. It's in Alberta. It's a different province. It's moving to the Midwest of the U.S. Yeah.
I'm sure Camille probably was understanding.
I think so. You know, I think it's difficult in any partnership when you have, you know, this big vision of what your team can do and you work hard to establish what your team system looks like and then someone goes a different way. But I think overall she was pretty understanding.
Yeah. Were you defending or blocking for Camille?
We were split blocking.
Splitting, okay.
Yeah, so kind of depended on who the attacker was, we would decide who was defending.
Yeah.
But she too was like a predominant blocker.
Okay.
So we were just both two bigs trying to figure out defense.
Just serve hard inside out.
That's it. That's the motto. Maybe like get an ace, 1 block, 1 dig.
In your current ranking, you must have been pretty happy to hear the new announcement with the World Tour final, even though it's next year.
Yeah.
But
in Qatar.
You want to have
they don't like me there.
You want to have a good ranking going into this one. How big is the draw for this World Tour final? They announced it for January 26th.
Like it's like late
January.
I'm okay, thank you. I think it's top 10.
Top 10.
I want to say, but I don't know if they're going world ranking or entry ranking. So Brandie and I are 5th in terms of entry rankings. Yeah. We haven't played a lot of events.
Right.
So I'm not sure what they're...
I think it's world ranking.
So we might not make it.
Yeah, because...
We'll see.
Well, yeah. Oh, interesting.
I talked to a couple people about it, and they're pissed.
Yeah.
You know, because they're announcing it in August when you don't have a whole lot of time to build up your world ranking points, which is different than your entry ranking.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people... Because the system's 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
You know, so pretty selective about what events you play. Right. And then they're like, oh, well... Now we have a tournament where it's $150,000 for the winner.
It's really interesting, actually, because all those teams who are just going to sit on those world champs points,
they might be getting off the bench now.
They won't. Yeah, now they have incentive to get off the bench and go put it on the line.
Yeah, which I think is good. I think it's good to have a system that incentivizes teams to play. I think anytime you have a system where the best teams in the world might be sitting out because it doesn't make sense, I think is a system that could use tweaking.
Right.
Yeah,
and now you have that carrot at the end that's. Yeah. Teams are going to play now.
Totally.
Actually, the carrot's in the beginning of the next season.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not even in the same year.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah. But again, like first year, figuring everything out. And it's amazing that they have a tournament where if you win, you split $150,000.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yes, I would love to win that.
Yeah, same.
I'm very far out from qualifying.
I think Brandie and I are like 13th in world ranking, so I think Paris will definitely help our result.
Yeah.
There, I think. But who knows?
Yeah. Aren't AVPs worth FIVB points now or something like that?
Come on, let's make it happen and let's get me on the tour, guys. Let's figure this out.
Let's get you on the
You've
tour.
been at a few events
Come
now,
on.
right?
Who do we need to schmooze? I've just been telling people I'm going to make Let Soph play shirts and just start handing them out.
There we go.
And see who'll
Free
wear them.
Sophie.
Free Sophie. Seriously. I feel like I'm already part American, so.
How does one get on the AVP? Like from
green card.
So we gotta get you is it an extraordinary ability or special
even
talent?
That doesn't even do it. It has
Really?
to be like a legitimate green card, yeah.
Ability.
Because I looked into it. That's technically a P1 visa.
Okay.
So like MLB, NHL guys, I think that's the visa that they use.
Okay.
But I think it's like actually a green card, which is quite a process.
Man.
Yeah. But maybe one day. Who knows?
So we gotta get you. We gotta get you an American husband.
Or that. Or that. Just walk up and down the Strand a couple times. See what happens. See who's interested. Just know what we're in this for, okay, guys? Like.
Yeah, I won't ever be home. Traveling on the world tour.
Yeah.
Just coming in for a couple AVPs a year.
That's it. You can be my +1 at some AVPs. And I have 2 cats, so like that's the bargain. You gotta be okay with cats.
Take it or leave it.
That's why
Exactly.
I love what the Swiss tour does. Because me and Jakey, we got to play on the Swiss tour, and they allocate 2 foreign wild cards
Yeah.
per tournament.
Yeah.
And Delaney leaves tomorrow morning actually for
Nice.
Switzerland.
Sweet.
And I think the AVP, I think that'd be kind of cool if they did that because it adds some intrigue.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think having an international wild card would limit, obviously, the amount of teams that are like overthrowing your tour because it is yours and you guys have done such a good job of making it what it is. So you don't want to, take away from a lot of the American players, but just adding a little bit of like newness of like the different styles, the way other teams play. It's really interesting for the fans, I think, to kind of see what international teams, how they play.
Yeah.
You're not telling me Mo Sorum and the Qatar guys are going to come here and people aren't going to want to watch them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's a possibility for that. Like the Van Open, we love having Americans and there's like a set amount of wild cards for Americans.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a cool possibility.
Yeah.
So
maybe even
fingers
like
crossed.
you can keep foreigners out maybe for like the Gold Series or vice versa.
Yeah.
So you can have the Gold Series has the catch where there's 2 international wild cards given or whatever.
Yeah.
Because so then you have a kind of a mix of both, where the rankings aren't going to get massively skewed because the international teams are winning all the events. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then
It
it's
could be
like who
cool.
chooses.
Right.
Yeah,
Like who chooses
choosing would be big.
the players? Is it Bally's? Like who actually chooses the players?
It would have to be.
Like if it were up to the players,
players?
Like, let's choose the 67th
Yeah.
ranked.
Not
yeah,
Mullen
yeah.
We're
Sorum.
not going to bring in Anderson Christian.
Norway's not going to bring in fan. They're not going to.
No, those guys
they're not
suck.
doing it.
Just kidding.
But Norway's 4s. Yeah, they'll.
Yeah, exactly. We can
None of
still
the brothers,
announce-
none of the cousins. We can't be related to the family.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's not it.
Yeah. Like, could you imagine if the Swedish kids came
Yeah.
and played like a Miles Partain?
Yes.
Man, that would be fun.
Just
Yes.
jumping kids
Jump
all over
setting.
the place.
All over.
I think it could be cool. Even like 2 events out of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's potential for it. I think that could be the way that it could go.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, did you see that they just had like what did they call it? Some kind of cup format where it was country on country.
Oh, the Nations Cup in
Yeah, in
Austria.
Europe.
That was really cool.
It was awesome. It was like sort of like what's it called? A Continental Cup style format. I think each country had 2 teams.
Yeah.
And then if you split, it went to a golden match.
I think that's so cool.
It was awesome.
I wonder if North America could ever do that.
And they sold out.
It's something that I've talked to, our federation about all the time is the European countries have so much more opportunity for playing and they also have such a structured system, right, where they can accumulate those little points that can get you into a main draw or can change your rankings so you're not playing the first seed. Whereas with the NORCECA, we don't really have that option because there's so much, everything is so precarious, right? Like natural disasters happen and tournaments get canceled. Funding isn't there. It's not approved. So there's not opportunities for younger athletes to play and be able to play on the World Tour.
Yeah.
So having something where, our NORCECA finals are always held in Canada or the US or in the Cayman Islands or something that hosts really big tournaments.
Mexico does a great job.
Yeah, like they're hosting world championships. Seriously, like we can definitely do it there. Or doing something like a Nations Cup.
Yeah.
Would be really cool. So, yeah, we'll see.
It almost feels like Europe has their own domestic tour.
Yeah.
It's just all the countries together, which is basically what the U.S. is.
Yeah.
Except those are countries and we're states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it feels like they're just one big country, and then they have all these small events. Like I'm seeing on Instagram, there's some event going on that like all the top teams are playing. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how do I not know what this is?
Totally.
Yeah. Because you look at like Germany alone, 3 weeks in a row, they had the German championships, Hamburg Elite 16, and then Munich hosted the European championships, and Munich was sold out like a week before, Wednesday through Sunday.
There was 2,000 people watching practice on Monday.
Amazing.
No way.
Like watching, not even just like the top athletes play, just watching anyone practice.
Crazy.
2,000 people.
It's awesome.
That's legit.
Monday. It's a Monday.
Euros love volleyball.
Like,
It's amazing.
what's going on?
Yeah.
Love Europe.
Love Europe.
Fans are
Love
great.
Europe. Seriously. Seriously.
I'm getting back to loving Europe.
Yeah.
There was a distaste for Europe at some point?
Yeah.
I'm good for a bit.
Yeah?
No, just because I was on the road too long and losing.
Yeah, fair.
I'll hate anywhere if I'm losing.
Yeah, that'll do that. That'll do that.
Charlie loves Manhattan now.
I love home.
Yeah.
I seriously woke up this morning. I was like, I just played in a big tournament yesterday. Woke up in my own bed, went to breakfast in my town, and I'm sleeping in my bed tonight.
Yeah.
No jet lag.
Yep.
This is amazing.
And that crowd
things.
showed up too.
And it's the last time it's going to happen until next year. Or Hermosa.
Yeah.
The crowd showed up.
That was pretty good, right?
awesome.
Actually,
Yeah.
honestly, didn't even notice.
Oh, the crowd was huge.
You couldn't get into the stadium. Like, I tried to watch Brandie play Terese. The lineup was astronomical. So I tried to find Dane, and I'm like, can you get me in somewhere? Can I sit in like the broadcast booth?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not waiting in a line for 2 hours. The game's going to be over.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to see.
For sure, I know.
So
I
many
wonder
people.
if they can build it bigger. Like, I know that cost was they've been on a budget all year, but
Yeah.
if the fans are there,
Yeah.
you got to get them seats, right?
Well, 3/4 of the stadium was VIP. It was paid seating. So you had the general admission on that big wall by the ocean, and then this was VIP.
It's pretty cool
And that was
looking.
VIP. And so I'm hoping that they did that to try to recoup a lot of
Funds.
the investment from building it.
Smart.
Because I think Manhattan Hermosa, they could probably make it triple the size and it would fill up.
Yeah.
Do you think if they did more of like the VIP boxes on the sand, like they had one area, I guess, on the water side, like right under general admission, that were, I guess, boxes. But I'm wondering if they did that around the like whole
Like all the
part of
little
the
courts.
court.
Yeah.
And then if they build another general admission stand, if that would, help people
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah. I think
hope
in
they do.
California
I hope
for
they do.
sure.
Yeah.
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 I think you could even get away with that in Huntington too. Because when they used to go to Huntington was mobbed every
Yeah.
year.
It's massive.
So I think the California events for sure they could build out.
Yeah.
They had like the big jumbotron on the backside of the stadium too, by court 1 and 2.
There's a lot of people watching.
Yeah, I didn't see, but I figure there was people out there as well.
Oh, in
Yeah.
the finals? Yeah, that was pretty jammed.
Sick.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's good to see.
Yeah.
But let's get all of them in a massive stadium.
Yeah.
Why not?
That would be sick.
Yeah.
If you have the demand for it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is it true that they can't charge general admission tickets or something like that on California
I know
beaches?
in Hermosa, I know they can't.
Yeah,
I don't know about Manhattan.
It's got to be that.
There's
right?
some kind of rule. And
There's
I think
no one there that's not willing to pay $5 or something.
Yeah.
And $5 for, I don't know what, 5,000 people, 6,000 people is a decent amount of money,
It adds up.
right?
It adds up over a couple of days. Yeah.
Right.
I would imagine that there is a reason.
Yeah.
Other than like, oh, we didn't know. Like, I'd imagine that the AVP is not charging for a reason because in Manhattan, like, you have a willing
But they're
demographic.
selling suites and boxes and stuff. so
True.
that I don't know if that could be the
Yeah.
case.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I feel like if you sell
Wish I did.
tickets in advance, like people are more incentivized to go. Versus
Right.
like if you have a plan with your friend, you're like, let's go down to the AVP on Saturday and something comes up.
Yeah,
It's
that's a good
whatever.
point.
But if I physically bought a ticket, even if it's $5,
Yeah.
I feel like people are more inclined to
Yeah.
go.
And then you can have people, they can buy it on the site maybe
Yeah.
or a limited, like whatever's left over.
Yeah.
You
That
can,
was
like,
what's cool
guarantee
about
seating.
Yeah.
That
right,
one
right,
too.
exactly.
Stad, they sold out a week before. So I remember Stockman was just trying to get tickets for her family, and they're like, it's been sold out
can't.
for a week.
Stad is crazy.
Yeah.
Stad is nuts.
Yeah.
Which is not a good place to be concussed in front of thousands of people, I'll tell you that.
At altitude.
I'm like, nobody look at me while I throw up. Like,
Don't look at me while I throw up.
it's like a thing out of Bridesmaids. Don't look at me.
yeah.
That's how I felt the whole time. Anyways.
You've played in some epic locations this year. I mean,
Yeah.
that Rome Coliseum was crazy.
Yeah.
Stad is iconic.
Yeah.
Hamburg Stadium's super
Hamburg
cool.
against Germany was really cool.
Yeah,
Italy
so cool.
against Italy was really cool.
Yeah.
Didn't play any Swiss teams in Stad, but Brandie is Swiss, so I feel like we had the crowd on our side.
Yeah.
Which was cool. Yeah, some like major stadiums.
Yeah.
It's been cool. It's been cool. Yeah.
It's been a cool year for you. Just in general,
Yeah.
it's been very fun to
It's
watch
been
you
so
just
fun.
like fly. Not even just rise. Like you have flown up.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels like there's been a lot of hard work kind of in the background for years now, and it's all paying off now, which is
Yeah.
a really nice feeling. So, and it's nice to do it next to somebody who I just like really love and care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's like first and foremost. It's always a bonus when you like your partner, but if you truly love them and you're truly doing it with them, then you'll do things for them that you wouldn't do for anyone else.
Right.
So, like I'd go to war for that girl. So, yeah, we're pretty happy.
I can see that. Love
Yeah,
it.
just in a loving,
not hard
happy
to see.
relationship. Thanks.
So what's left for
Yeah.
you the rest of the year? You got Paris coming up.
Paris coming up. I may or may not be in Chicago.
Okay.
We'll see. Brandie is playing with Melissa, so I'm super excited to watch those two play. Yeah, it's going to be really fun.
Interesting.
I know. Love it. So I might be there. I might not. We'll kind of see how much time I need at home to kind of rest and recoup from our little month of travel. And then it's just Paris. I think that'll be our last major event until hopefully World Tour Finals.
Awesome.
That's so far the plan. But things change. So
well, it's been a heck of a year for you, Soph.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been good.
Did you surprise yourself this year?
Absolutely, I did. I feel like I surprised myself. I've surprised myself a lot this year.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
Yeah. What's been like the biggest surprise? Was it World Champs?
I think the World Champs finish was a big surprise in terms of results, but I think it would just be like coming together as quickly as it did with Brandie.
Yeah.
And trying to like get our system down and being on the same page. I think that was the most surprising because that does really take time.
Yeah.
But I think like through our sports psych and through our coaching, just having like really honest and direct conversations has helped us so much just expedite that process.
Yeah.
So that's been really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Soph, I hope you continue surprising yourself.
Thanks.
I'll keep watching and rooting for you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll have another champagne next time you win a gold medal.
I couldn't finish
Cheers
my
to
glass.
that. Oh, come on.
It's a little
Champion man.
sweet for me.
You probably didn't drink a single drop last night.
I'm trying to think of the type of alcohol I didn't drink.
Yeah.
I was like, did I have any beers? It's like, yep, I had a whole pitcher in my hand at one point.
As you should. As you
Congrats
deserve.
to you both. Try
Appreciate
Manhattan Open
Yes.
back to back. So fun, just
Congratulations.
a hell of a year.
Thank you.
Looking forward to more of it.
Congrats on your
stuff.
Norseca.
Yeah, there you go.
Cuba.
And your Bucks. And your Bucks.
You're carrying the U.S. right now.
Amazing.
Good times.
Shoots.
Shoots.